Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet. Shrindvatam Sva Katha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Hi Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nastiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8, verses 26, 27 and 28. So this chapter is titled Dhruva Maharaj Leaves Home. Text 26. Aho teja kshatriyanam manabhangam mrisyatam balopi ayam hridadhatte yat samatur asad vacha. Synonyms. Aho, how surprising it is. Teja, power. Kshatriyanam, of the Kshatriyas. Manabhangam, hurting the prestige. Mrisyatam, unable to tolerate. Bala, only a child. Api, although. I am this. Rida, at heart. Dhatte, has taken. Yat, that which. Sa matu, of the stepmother. Asat, unpalatable. Vacha, words. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. How wonderful are the powerful Kshatriyas. They cannot tolerate even a slight infringement upon their prestige. Just imagine, this boy is only a small child, yet harsh words from his stepmother proved unbearable to him. Purport: the qualifications of the Kshatriyas are described in Bhagavad Gita. Two important qualifications are to have a sense of prestige and not to flee from battle. It appears that the Kshatriya blood within the body of Dhruva Maharaj was naturally very active. If the Brahminical Kshatriya or Vaishya culture is maintained in a family, naturally the sons and grandsons inherit the spirit of the particular class. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, the sanskar or the reformatory system is maintained very rigidly. If one fails to observe the reformatory measures current in the family, one is immediately degraded to a lower standard of life. Sri Naraduvacha Nadhunapi Avammanam te Sammanam vapi putraka Lakshayama Kumarasya Saktasya Kridanadishu. Naraduvacha. The great sage Narada said, no, not. Adhuna, just now. Api, although. Avamanam, insult. Te, unto you. Sammanam, offering respects. Va, or Api, certainly. Putraka, my dear boy. Lakshayama, I can see. Kumarasya, of boys like you. Saktasya, being attached. Kridana adishu, to sports and frivolities. Translation: the great sage Narada told Dhruva, my dear boy, you are only a little boy whose attachment is to sports and other frivolities. Why are you so affected by words insulting your honor? Purport: ordinarily, if a child is rebuked as a rascal or fool, he smiles and does not take such insulting words very seriously. Similarly, if words of honor are offered, he does not appreciate them. But in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, Kshatriya spirit was so strong that he could not tolerate a slight insult from his stepmother, which injured his Kshatriya prestige. Text 28. Vikalpe vidyamane pi nayasantosh etavah unso mohamrite bhinna yalloke nij karma bhi. Vikalpe, alternation. Vidyamane api, although there is, no, not, he, certainly, asantosh, dissatisfaction, etava, causes, pumsa, of the persons, mohamrite, without being illusioned, bhinna, separated, yet loke, within this world, nij karmabhi, by his work. Translation. My dear Dhruva, if you feel that your sense of honor has been insulted, you still have no cause for dissatisfaction. This kind of dissatisfaction is another feature of the illusory energy. Every living entity is controlled by his previous actions, and therefore there are different varieties of life for enjoying or suffering. Purport. In the Vedas, it is said that the living entity is always uncontaminated and unaffected by material association. The living entity gets different types of material bodies because of his previous fruitive actions. If, however, one understands the philosophy that as a living spirit soul, he has an affinity for neither suffering nor enjoyment, then he is considered to be a liberated person. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18.54, Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma. When one is actually situated on the transcendental platform, he has nothing for which to lament and nothing for which to hanker. Narada Rishi first of all wanted to impress upon Dhruva Maharaj that he was only a child. He should not have been affected by words of insult or honor. And if he were so developed as to understand honor and insult, then this understanding should have been applied in his own life. He should have known that honor and dishonor are both destined only by one's previous actions. Therefore, one should not be sorry or happy under any circumstances. End of report. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, you can unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, sorry.
For some reason, somebody muted me. Were you able to hear the shlokas earlier?
No, we can hear only for a second. Thank you.
Okay. So, thank you for this opportunity. And please forgive me if I add any or give any personal interpretation to these verses. So this chapter, Dhruva Maharaj leaves home. So Dhruva Maharaj leaves home after having been insulted by his stepmother, Suruchi. So the Kshatriya spirit, so born of a Kshatriya king, who was more or less a henpecked husband, you can call, or a person who was dedicated to sense gratification too much, as a result, who could not intervene when his second wife Suruchi was throwing insults on Dhruva, and thereby compels Dhruva. Had he intervened, maybe his dishonor or having been insulted by his stepmother would have been less or would have been mitigated, because there was somebody who was supporting him. But that was not the case. So here it says, like, after having left the house, he meets Narada. So Narada Muni overheard this news and he goes to meet Dhruva Maharaj. So that's where this discussion is taking place between Narada Muni and Dhruva Maharaj, who is trying to pacify him, because after all, he was only a 5-year-old child. So there are persuasions that are being conducted by Narada Muni to pacify the small child, but his Kshatriya spirit was very strong. And that harsh words had pierced his heart, that no amount of pacification could. So as you know, there is a way when somebody hurts your feelings, you want to get even. So he wanted to prove, or he wanted to get something that is bigger, better than what his father has, so that he can put to shame those who had insulted him. So we have to ponder here, take a little back seat and understand all the players in this chapter. First of all, we have Dhruva Maharaj, on which the whole chapter revolves around, and then his father Uttanapada, his two mothers Suruchi and Suniti, and then there is Narad Muni, who is the spiritual master of the whole world, Jagat Guru. And then finally you have Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, and then his stepbrother, of course, Uttam. So we have to analyze why these names. What is the message that Vyasadeva is trying to give us in this? As a child, when I was going to school in India, we heard my Sanskrit teacher elaborating on this pastime of within the Bhagavatam about Dhruva Maharaj and his glorious activities and his act of penance. So what does Dhruv means? Dhruv means atal, or like fixed in determination. So the pole star, it is fixed in its place. So based on his name, Dhruv. And then Uttanpad is also meaning like henpecked, or like person who is whose mind is towards sense gratification. Suniti, Su means auspicious or good. Niti means policies, principles. Suniti, so that's his first wife. Suniti was trying to discipline Uttanpad, whose mind was very fragile, or who wanted to look for sense gratification. As a result, he does not care for the principles, that these principles I cannot follow. As a result, he has a second wife. What is the name? So Ruchi. Ruchi means anything that is very palatable, likable. Mind is getting too much pleasure activity from the activities that are good for sense gratification. So that's Suruchi. So we have to understand, son of Suniti is Dhruv, because born of good principles. Son of Suruchi, Uttam, also trying to be sense gratification in the line. And of course, Uttanpad is there. It's the weak mind who is looking for sense gratification always. And then Dhruva Maharaj becomes Dhruva Maharaj through the intervention of Narada Muni, who saw the potential that he has the Kshatriya spirit. If that is diverted properly, that channelized properly, there is potential for him to become a very good devotee and a good ruler for the world. So that's how we have to understand that where do we place ourselves between Suruchi and Suniti. So what is the result when he is giving up in this very same body? He travels in celestial airplanes. When he finishes, he wraps up his worldly affairs. In that very same body, he's been allocated a planet that cannot be destroyed. And then the Niti, the Suniti, the principles are like his mother. They are also following him because he gets. So he asks, like, where is my mother? Like, at the time of leaving the planet, like in that same body. So they say that she is going ahead in another plane, another celestial airplane. So that's how one person should conduct one's life with strong, righteous principles. The principles anybody can, whether they are righteous or not, you have to use your discriminatory intelligence in order to understand what is right and what is wrong. And therefore, he took that step, although he took that step in great anger. He was hissing like a snake when he left the palace. And, his whole body was burning with anger. But he undertakes severe austerities for 6 months or so. And he has been initiated by Narada Muni. And who is he following? Vasudeva. His mantra was given, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And he meditates on that mantra and, undertaking severe austerities. And he compels. So when a person is very sincerely disciplined person, the whole world trembles. It becomes powerful, whether that's a politician or whether that's an ordinary person. If a person is determined, disciplined, and of very good character, so based on his austerities, even Indra started, feeling insecure that my throne is now gone. Anytime we feel like, a strong personality emerges from this, Bhagavatam or other similar literatures, we find that anybody with strong character who is performing, say, for example, Prithu Maharaj or others, who conduct these yagyas, first person who gets disturbed is Indradev. He's the king of the demigods, but he starts to feel insecure that my position is gone now. So similarly, his austerities were so sincere, Dhruva Maharaj's austerities were so sincere that Lord was compelled to descend and appear, manifest himself in the form he was meditating him, and then give him the benedictions. Even though after having the darshan of the Lord and having been touched by the conch of Lord Vishnu, Narayana, he totally gives up all his anger and everything, and he makes that statement that, I was looking for something which is like, broken pieces of glass. Now that I have found the most valuable diamond in the form of bhakti, in the form of devotion, in the form of having a darshan, all my desires for such petty, pieces of glass is gone now. But since he was undertaking this kind of a penance, he was still granted his wish. But this is how we should approach the whole subject matter, by analyzing the total. So that's how it says, like, Ja ki rahi bhavana jaisi, Prabhu Murat tini dekhi taisi. So, whichever way one worships the Supreme Personality, like Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Yomam Ajati. So the one who, in chapter 7, in chapter 4, sorry. So just the way, people who, worship me, I reward them accordingly. So that's how we have to concentrate all the time on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and achieve success, make success of this life, and raise our consciousness, raise our character, and set examples for people to follow. Thank you so much for joining in. Please excuse me for any shortcomings.